Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is Thursday, August 17th, 2023, and once again, we were at over 100 degrees today here in San Antonio. We're probably setting some kind of a record, or at least a recent record, in terms of the cyclical activities that happen, but we're probably setting a record for the number of days over 100. So I'm thankful to hear the birds outside, and it's rewarding to put water out for our feathered friends and our furry friends as well, who happen to be navigating these challenging times. So I understand that a number of us are going through some challenging times. I even wrote a song recently called Flaming Yawn. And in that song, I say a line that says, maybe another t-shirt can help put out the fires. And today I'm specifically talking about a t-shirt and a little bit also about the islands that are indirectly referenced in this shirt that by coincidence I'm talking about, and by coincidence someone else in a higher position of authority was asked about, and according to the media they didn't have an answer. So recently I've noticed when I discuss topics with different people that just like our person who is representing us, who is presiding over us, in many cases fathers, heads of household, are the ones who govern how our women respond. And I've said these things not carelessly, but with a little bit of regard to the fact that some of the discussions that aren't happening, I believe, are not happening because our men are being shielded in a way to where basically the only thing any one of us will get is a big foul pile of flaming yawn. And whereas a lot of us think that we're celebrating things, many of us know that we're really not. I've got a friend out there who has not participated in a while, and who I believe has helped my subscribership go from one number to another number over and over. It's like they can't help but tune in, but they also want to tune out. It's become one-sided, where basically I'm able to talk and you're able to listen, but for whatever reason nobody's gonna listen to what I'm saying. And so in my family, that's the kind of circumstance that I'm experiencing in my family of friends and family. I'm experiencing a situation where if I bring up a topic that seemingly is innocuous, it brings up the darndest, adults say the darndest things. And in a lot of cases, our adults are saying the darndest things by not saying anything. They're finding ways to use terms to define what happens from now on. Some will call it narcissism, some will call it just law of attraction. I'm just gonna call it basically what it is. If your intentions are good and you pretty much want to raise the vibrational level around you to peaceful and pleasant, you're going to run into circumstances where people will possibly pretend to want to communicate with you, only to find that when you're communicating, they really don't want to communicate because you're inciting fear, a fear-based response in them. For many of us who talk and easily step through the political boundaries because we are able to focus on the actual issue that's going on, it's easy for us to communicate calmly in a way that allows us to get a little further in the conversation than we ever did before. And the reason that this is uncomfortable, the reason it's anxiety inducing, is because we're looking at ourselves for the first time. How many of us go and look in the mirror and actually see, when we're smiling at something? How many of us go and look and try to say, I don't know why everyone else is so upset. I know that these are possibly legitimate reasons, like for an example, someone sending me a t-shirt that's a little too tight for me right now. Some of these things, it's like, it's not a complaint. It's just an awareness that says, I was a little unhealthy, so I couldn't quite fit easily into the role that someone else saw me representing or being a part of. But the irony of it is that this shirt, when I looked up the role of the goal of the role of the goal, the goal of the role, when I looked up the coalition, even the word itself, coalition, it's basically talking about people forging a partnership to overcome some of the other groups. And it's a coalition to keep small businesses in business, according to what I got out of the purpose of the message behind this shirt, which is embossed upon or emblazoned upon or printed upon, silk screened upon a brand new, beautiful green shirt manufactured by a gigantic corporation. It's funny to me. It's funny because it's like, it's funny like this. You know, some of the things are comical. And so that's why people are tuning in. They're like, man, one person, I'll try not to throw out the actual F-bomb, but one person said when they talked with me after a long departure from talking, first, I want to tell you, F you, Ray, you were right. And it's like, I'm not right. I just know the difference between what feels right and what feels a little bit dishonest. And it feels a little bit disingenuous to try to play both sides of the field, where we represent one thing in public and something else entirely different in private. So based on all of our actions, because we're all human and we've all erred, based on that, the only logical conclusion I can come to when I think about our presiding leader who's setting the example of how it is we're supposed to represent one another is that they erred. You know, they don't know how to respond to whatever is going on. It's pretty deep. It's different from a flaming yawn. You know, it's different from just saying, I don't really care about this. It's more like maybe we're seeing, all of us are seeing things and going through things that are so painful that we can't quite understand how to communicate with the other person about what's going on. Well, the first thing is to learn the veil of division and recognize when someone's either using that on you or when you yourself are using that on somebody else. These veils are oftentimes exposed when you look at the work. You know, what efforts are certain people putting in to understanding what we're all going through collectively? And if there are people that are just focused still on the individual aspect of it, that's your answer. You'll know them by the fruit they bear. Somewhere in the New Testament, which we were just reading last night, there is an indicator that, like another one of my friends had talked about, you might need to kick off your sandals and go to the next town. And in fact, by the account of the supposed bringer of peace, I only say supposed because some of us are on the fence, you know? And for those of us who aren't on the fence and who understand, we can try to talk as best as we can without causing offense, any kind of offense, any kind of anxiety, any kind of fear-based response. And it's hard to do. So for me, I started trying to write poetry, turn that into songs, and basically I tried to turn my life around. And I've done so many things in favor of that which should be manifested. But I'm patiently continuing to absorb all of the other input with a great deal of thought when it comes to how it is we recognize what we're accepting from and or taking away from one another. So until next time, I hope this makes sense. I really wanted to connect with everyone at the same time. And so you might find that one snippet it represents something that just resonates with you. If it does, please click on the comments. If I could have an increase in the number of subscribers here, I might actually be able to spend more time not going through the challenging things that I was going through this morning, just to try and, we're all going through some challenging things, and I don't mean it in a greedy way where I don't acknowledge your challenges. What I mean is, if we look at the great encompassing scope of everything, the main thing we're missing right now is participants who are actually willing to help. So help one another and really think about it. Look in the mirror and see, what are you doing when you look at the mirror? You know, are you smiling, like really genuinely smiling? Or are you just ready to mock, to mock what you're seeing? When my father used methamphetamines, something came out of him and he literally would just mock me for smiling and being genuinely happy. Some weird things happened. If you've ever watched any of those TV shows like, I don't know, Unnatural or Unusual Things, obviously I'm changing titles. These things are things that you might want to just like I was talking about, unnatural things. Somehow, even though this device was off, I received a call. Something else unusual happened today where an application I used suddenly doesn't recognize my credentials, and some of the electronic devices in the area started to perform in unusual ways. All these things really happen. When I discuss these things in the presence of people who experience these same things at the same time, usually I'm lacking acknowledgement in the group from those people to say, something like that happened to me as well. And then basically we can start a discussion about what it means. What does it mean if unnatural things begin to happen? What is in our presence and what do we have to do to clean it up? Those are the questions we talk about here openly, with faith, with gratitude, and with hope. So until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.